What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Benconnected. Super stoked that you're here. Appreciate all the love and care that you guys have given us and the show. We've had a lot of wonderful guests. We've had a lot of different walks of life as well, which has been really fun to get to know these different people. Really, real quick, wanted to shout out our sponsors, Lodge 33, best hat in the game. Literally the best. They can do anything as far as customs, your favorite team, anything you need. Make sure to tap into Lodge 33. Use code CONNECTED for 20% off. Dunked Cookies out in Saratoga Springs. If you haven't been, it's quite the experience. Literally the best vibes. Incredible human beings that own it and run it. Also, Planklo, they customize shirts. They got this one for the spooky season. This is deadlift. If you can get it, has a skeleton on it. Lifting, deadlift, super fire. All right, guys, I am super excited to announce today's guest. She is super awesome, locally from Utah, played high school basketball here, played collegiate basketball here, and now a business owner here in Utah, Mariah Martin.
Thanks for having me today, Ben.
Let's just go back. I mean, obviously, I knew of you in high school, played at Alta, phenomenal player. Something that most people may or may not know, she actually started every game in her whole basketball career, which is kind of crazy. Like, that's a wild fact.
Yeah, I mean, I was and still am super competitive. And so for me, when I first started playing basketball, it was probably in seventh grade. And my dad was just very realistic with me and was like, you're not good. And so you got to put in work and you got to decide if you want to be good. And so he's like, let's set some goals and go from there. And so one of my goals was going into ninth grade, I wanted to start varsity as a freshman. I wanted to be an impactful player. And so from there, just the grind began.
I mean, cool for you as well to not take it as wow, I suck. My dad doesn't love me. It was just hey, okay, is this a goal that I want to attain, And that's really cool that you had that experience. And so, okay, so then that led you into your freshman year.
Yeah.
And then you're starting varsity as a freshman. Super cool, right? Cool growing school. That's tough.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun because during that transition phase, it was Alta was getting a new coach, and then they had a ton of really good returners, so it was really competitive. And the senior point guard there at the time, she helped me so much. She competed hard with me every single day. Right. So the coach, he was very encouraging, but also hard on me as well. I had my dad all the time too, which right. Love, but yeah, it was just super competitive, and so it pushed me to keep grinding and keep getting out of my comfort zone. And so it was fun. It was a challenge, but I loved it.
When I hire people, I ask them if they're part of a team. I don't care if they're in the chess club, anime club. I don't care what club or what team. It doesn't have to be a sport team, but it's because it teaches you so much, right? It teaches you roles, teaches you, teamwork, to be uplifting. How have you seen your sports kind of career help you in your life right now?
Great question. I think you learn so much about yourself, and you learn so much of how to work with others. And I think a big aspect is there's so many different personalities. Yes. And different types of people that you come across in the sports world and in different careers and stuff like that. And so I think kind of being able to be flexible and understanding and make adjustments on the fly that, playing basketball, it's something bad, quote unquote bad, is happening all the time. You miss a free throw, or you have a stupid turnover or something like that. And so it's kind of the same thing in the work field, I would say. Someone quits and doesn't want the position that you offer them, or you get in an argument, and so you have to have hard conversations, and you have to be able to make adjustments and just be okay with letdowns and things not going how you want them to go.
I miss when it didn't matter, where you could just in high school, where it's oh yeah, you're sick, you just stay home from school, or you could I wouldn't say take plays off, but kind of take time off. Where now I feel in the what I want to do and what I want to accomplish, it's very well, if I don't do it, it's not gonna get done. If I don't make plans, it's not gonna happen. So prime example for you, you're hey, you weren't just going to start varsity just by saying hey, I'm going to start varsity. It was, hey, I'm going to make some goals. I'm going to make an action plan. And I feel like that's what kind of leads you to success long term and sustainable. But as far as like basketball, how was that like recruiting process? Because obviously you're starting varsity as a freshman. Everyone kind of got to see you early. You played 4 straight years of great high school basketball. How was that process? Because recruiting is like always crazy. Like sometimes on paper, it's like, man, this person should be offered by everyone in the country. And then other times it's like, how in the world did that person get an offer? They suck, and I gave them 20 last week. So how did they have offers? And you played people like that. Like I played a dude, and I was like, bro, I busted him like all game, and he has like 10 offers. This is crazy. And then like his uncle's best friends, whatever, and I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But you know what I mean? Like, so what kind of experiences as far as recruiting? Because obviously you played collegiate. How did you get from high school to collegiate?
Yeah. So I think the reason why my dad was so just like, hey, you suck. Like, it's time to like switch gears. And if you want to be good, then you need to be great. And so my parents also made it loud and clear, like from a young age, like, you're not going to college unless you figure out how to pay for it. And so they're like, you can use sports as that, academics, whatever. And I'm like, of course I'm going to use the sports route. And so, yeah. And so for me, it was like every single year I wanted to progress, and every single year I wanted to be better at my quote unquote weaknesses, because, you become a great player or you become a good player and people start to pick up on your tendencies. And so you have to be like, okay, well, they think I can't finish a left-handed layup, so now I need to finish every left-handed layup this next season. So my dad was really good, and like at the end of every season we would reflect on areas of like where I could improve, because I wanted to be like an all-around really like dimensional player. And so for me, like the off seasons were huge. I mean, we'd wake up and I also was able to like train with my sister Kemery and my brother Dante.
And she's a hooper too.
Yeah,
Little sister's
they
a
both
hooper.
are, yeah.
So okay, so the family all hoops. Did your parents hoop too?
So my dad did. My dad played college basketball. He wanted to play. Yeah, he wanted to play longer, but then like ended up having kids and then had to get a job.
Yeah, courses go certain paths.
Yeah, but then all my cousins, like, they all played too. So all my cousins on my mom's side have played college basketball as well.
Thanks.
So
So
we're,
did your brother play college too?
He had offers and was going to, but then just decided just wants to go to school.
That's the thing people don't realize. We'll talk about the mental side of the sports, because like that's so real, and it's like people don't realize like. Yeah, we'll get into that because I want to dive into that. Okay, but so you're training with your sister, who's also very good. She just actually recently came back to Utah to play at BYU, which is awesome. It'll be cool. We'll talk about a matchup that you guys played against each other in college, which is also crazy.
It was so fun. But yeah, so like we would wake up, like our off-season days, my dad would be like, if you guys want to get in the gym with me before work, it's got to be at like 5 a.m. So we'd set a huge alarm clock. We'd put it far away from our room, like our bed. And yep, so we'd wake up every single morning at like 4:30 in the morning, get to the gym around 5, have a session from 5 to 7, go home, take a nap or just eat some food, and then we'd be back in the gym like in the afternoon. So we would do 2-a-days, and then if we had like AAU practice, that was also in there. So we were just always in the gym working out. So I loved it, and we were able to like get super close, and we'd get competitive with each other too, and played a lot of one-on-one and all the things. So it was fun.
I'm sure they were super like not competitive. They were like very friendly, no trash talk ever.
Oh no, me and my brother and my sister, we would go at it, and my mom would be like, yeah, she'd get so mad, but
like, okay, guys,
it's like what you do. Yeah,
no, 100%. I think like you hear like just like people that compete, and like obviously it's helped you significantly as like far as like it's not a bad thing to be competitive. There's differences and there's levels, right? Like, because I'm the same way. Like, I'll play like card games and I'm like so pissed when I lose. Like, and it doesn't matter because I'm like, and it doesn't like the game doesn't matter, but I'm like, it matters because like I lost, So like that competitive juice always is going, which is sometimes hard, but
So yeah, so we were always just in the gym together, and then my dad was like, let's start an AAU program because you guys need to get in front of college coaches. Right. And so
he started a program. Yeah. Okay, that's
so
tough.
We were like the Lakeside Shockers.
The what?
The Lakeside Shockers.
Okay.
It was his program that he started, and so played for him.
Did you have a lot of teammates from like high school, or did you kind of have kids from all over? Or what was that team kind of made of?
So my first 2 years with him was just like kind of locals, and then we played for an EYBL team out of Colorado.
Oh, that's fire.
Yeah, that put us in
Explain
front
to
of.
the viewers what that is, because that's big time. Like people like there's levels of AAU guys. There's like the, hey, I got a jersey and I tell people I play like summer league, and then there's, hey, I play at a good team, and then there's
EYBL. I don't know what it stands for. I can't remember. Do you know?
I think it's Elite Youth Basketball League.
Yeah, but it's like an invite only type of program, and you go and you compete against like the top teams around the whole.
And like college coaches are at every game. Like it's massive. Like you're like full sponsored. Like it's like big time. Like you don't just get invited like because you suck. You know what I mean? Like your dad said. Like you don't. You have to be very good to play at that team.
Yeah, so me and my sister had an opportunity because they're out of Colorado, and they have rules and regulations where you can only have 2 kids from a different state play on your team. So Camry and I had the opportunity to play on a Colorado team. So every weekend when we started playing, we were driving up to Colorado to practice, and that was kind of my first taste of like, wow, this is kind of like what college is. Yeah. Because we had like lights out at 9, no phones. We had parents like walking around the halls, making sure we're actually like asleep.
Yeah, it was like, okay, we're here to win and here to play and get like, yeah.
Because so if they heard you in your room, you weren't starting or you weren't gonna play that game. Like my coaches were like on top of it.
Isn't it funny though? Like in those moments that you're like, dang, like I mean, I don't know, maybe you were different because like for me, like when coaches would do that to me, I was like, bro, like don't worry, like I'll be good. But then in my head, like now, like looking backwards, I'm like, dang, like I should have just been a better like player for those coaches. Just to be like, I should have just turned off the lights and just went to bed and did what they said, and I probably would have been a lot better than in those situations. So okay, so who did like so for the people that don't know about the AAU tournament at that level, I mean, you go into those and it is like bright lights. Every game matters.
Yeah, like literally our very first game in this tournament, we're going against the team who had won the whole tournament last year. They're like the LA Sparks or something along those lines was their team name, and we lost by 50 points. Like
got 50 pieced.
50. We're literally there. Girls are throwing like oops to each other. Like we're playing against like 6'5", athletic, crazy built girls. Yeah. Never seen it before. Utah, you don't.
Right.
You don't
You see.
that.
Yeah. Not that. You don't see 6'5" girls. Shoot, you don't even see a lot of. I mean, nowadays you probably do, but like even at that time, we weren't seeing a lot of 6'5" guys at that time either. Yeah, like that. Yeah. Wow. 6'6" girls getting oops is crazy.
Crazy. So I'm looking at my sister towards the end of the game, and we're just laughing because we're like, wow, we don't know what we just signed ourselves up for. Right. So that was like our one rough game, and then after that we're like, okay, like we got to take this way more seriously. We got to be able to compete, and so it was like great. And it's also like that intimidation factor too, because you got like Stanford and UConn and Baylor, like all these top schools that you dream of going to on the sideline, all these coaches. So you're like, this is the real deal. Yes. So it was a great opportunity.
But luckily, like I think like it allows, like it sounds like you as well, like it allows you to like really hone in on what you need to improve on, because you're never gonna get those experiences, right? Like, you're not gonna play a 6'5" girl playing at Alta. No. But playing against the 6'5" girl prepared you in a way that no one else could have prepared you for. You know what I mean? Which is super cool. So okay, so you're playing EYBL, have a great high school career. Now what? You go to the collegiate level. What was that like?
It's funny because it's just different challenges every year. I mean, in your back, it's like you got 4 years at high school, right? And you're a top dog. You're thinking you're the best, and then you're back in college, and you're back to being at the
freshman.
Freshman,
you're like.
Mm-hmm. And everyone, I mean, at the collegiate level, it's like everyone was the all-star of their high school team. So how do you be the all-star of an all-star team? And that was like kind of my mindset going into college, was also like, I'm going to start every game. I want to be another impactful player. And so my first coach that I played for was really hard on me, and it was a lot of the mental game at this point, and so one thing I really remember, he would always tell me, he's like, you got to grow up quick. Right. Because like if you want to play and be an impactful player, you can't make mistakes, essentially. And
right.
So,
which is brutal to hear. Like, you're like it's inevitable. I will make a mistake. Yeah. But like, obviously not intentional. Wake up today and be like, okay, can I please turn it over today? Like, seriously. You know, coach, trust me, I didn't wake up today and be like, how can I mess up the team's mojo today? But it's like when you hear that sometimes, like, I feel like that makes you as a player or anything, like, it makes you like get more hesitant, and it's like, oh crap, like,
Yeah.
now I can't dribble because like coach told me like I can't make a mistake, and then so you start overthinking, and it's just it's brutal. So okay, how was like signing, committing to your school? How was that like? Did you just kind of were like, hey, here's the interest I had, I'm gonna just go with this school because best option, or kind of like playing time? What was kind of the deciding factor of where you went, and how did you end up there?
Totally. So I had a lot of, EYBL gave me a lot of exposure.
Well, and you're being modest. You were tough. Like you were a hooper. Like everyone knew who you were. Like I remember going to the Big Mountain Jam, and like everyone knew who Alta girls were. Like she's being humble, y'all. Like she's good. She can hoop. Mariah can hoop. So you had offers. You had a lot of interest.
Yeah, and so it's a really stressful time. I mean, you're like, this is a huge quote unquote decision.
100%, big time decision.
Yeah, and so for me, it was just more like I wanted to go somewhere right away to be impactful. And a lot of the big schools, especially like Pac-12 and those programs, it's like it's really, really tough to be that as a freshman. And so for me, I kind of just like wanted to also take into consideration like the relationships that you build. And so over the recruiting process, it was like what coaches put in more effort to make time to talk to me and show interest and wanted to do home visits or wanted to fly me out. And so the coach at Dixie at the time, he had been to a couple other universities, and all the other universities he had been to before my time of like being able to commit, he recruited me and I was offered through those schools. So when he got the head coaching position at Dixie, I was like, I just feel like I need to go there. Yeah. Like I feel like I've built such a great relationship with him. I trust him. I think he'll let me play my game and I'll excel in his program. And so that was kind of my determining factor, because I'm like, I'd rather be a big fish in a small pond than a small fish in a big pond.
Well, and I think you bring up an interesting point. There's a like in the recruiting process, like sometimes the lights and the cameras of like, oh my gosh, like if you're going big time school, like there's so many of those people that go to those schools and like hate it because they don't play, or because there's a difference of like offering you and wanting you. Totally. Does that make sense? Like there's a distinct difference. Like I remember like there was a coach that was like literally in Walla Walla, Washington, and I was like, I don't want to go there. But like the dude was awesome. Like, and he like made me feel like I was like the greatest thing ever. And I was like, and as a player, you're like, dang, like that's where I want to go. Like, I don't want to just go just to be like, oh, well, I got Ben off the radar for everyone else, so we'll see if he plays. But like, I at least got him where it's like, okay, where does he care about my values? Does he care about what I want to do? Does like my end goal and stuff like that? And so it's like, that's really cool that you were able to not only create that with that coach, but also like understand that that's what it was. Because there's a lot of people that are just like, oh, okay, this must be the process, and he just wants, but to understand that, hey, like, this person sees you and like as a which is cool. So you go to I almost said Utah Tech because that's what it's called now. Oh, no. Dixie State, Utah Tech. They changed it up. They'll probably change it next year. Who knows? Yeah. So you're at Dixie. You play against your sister later on, obviously in your career. Yeah. But like, what was that like? Obviously, because those church pickup games got a little crazy. So how was that? Because I'm gonna tell you, like I just had my brother on set, and we like. My mom hates when we play one-on-one on Sundays because it's like, it gets pretty heated, and it's like we're very competitive. We don't want to lose. And so I can only imagine in a college game what I would be saying to him. So what was that like?
It's funny because our dynamic is like all my siblings. It's like we're super competitive with each other, but we're also each other's like biggest supporters, So when we played her first year at Utah, and so it was such a fun game because it was like the Halloween game, and so there was like a ton of elementary schools there,
which is super cool that girls basketball does that. So real fast, I went to a BYU girls game, and I was like, what the heck, like why is there so many people? No offense, because like I went to a lot of other games and there's no one there, and they're like this is a kids game, and I was like, the kids game? And those kids just yell the whole game, and it's like the most incredible thing. I think they should do more kids games, but it's okay. Halloween kids game, yeah, so phenomenal.
It's just packed, and we have all of our family there, and I went up to my sister before the game and like gave her a hug and stuff. I could just tell she was super nervous. First college game.
Yeah, because she's a freshman. Like, mind you, you're kind of
I'm
already,
established. I've
you've
been
already been
doing it.
there, you've started,
Yeah.
she's just getting in. I mean, granted, she's a phenomenal player as well, big time hooper, but like the emotions are high.
Totally. And so I was just like, have fun with it, you know?
Right.
If you're gonna shoot a shot, shoot it confidently in my face. Don't shoot it hesitantly.
You're like, just don't miss though,
Yeah.
because I'm gonna let you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was good. I mean, they killed us. Utah, they're great.
It's Utah, and
Yeah.
Utah's
But I
good.
had fun. I had a great game against her, so I got to kind of rub it in her face. And then there was a couple moments where nice Mariah was like guarding her hands down. I'm like, shoot the freaking ball.
Yeah, you're like, come on.
I'm like, let's get you some points, like you gotta get the motor going.
That's
here.
super cool though. Well, I mean, what an experience for not only like you two, like, and for your own personal self, and then like the sisterhood, but like also like your parents. Like, how cool of an experience for, and then for your, for your family to be like, I mean, to go from like, hey, if you want to go to collegiate, like, go to college at all, you got to be. So not only did you guys go, but like you're also playing your vital roles, and like to just even make a college team any level is like hard,
It's super hard.
and like very very slim to none actually do it. And so, well, I mean, that had to been like probably one of the coolest experiences for your family, like to be like, wow, like big stage, big moment.
It's like a proud
Right.
moment.
Oh, for sure for your dad. He was like, yo, I just told her she sucked 7th grade year, and now she's, hooping, and like that's super cool.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so you're at Utah Tech, and then you come closer to home, and you transfer to Westminster.
Yeah.
How was that? Obviously, different league, different kind of dynamic. I feel like every school is different in their own respective ways. Some good, some bad, some everything in between. But how was that year of like when you transferred back to closer to home?
It was good. So I essentially just decided to come closer to home because I had a bunch of family stuff going on.
Yeah.
So
That mental side.
yeah, totally is. So I transferred home, and then it was great. Like the coaches there were great. It was just a different experience, and I think have a very like flexible personality, and I adapt quickly, and so it was like easy to adapt over here, and it was a different type of coaching versus the coaching I had experienced my first 2 years at Dixie, and my teammates were great. Like,
Yeah,
I feel
welcomed you, and which is a big thing because like sometimes like when you transfer to a school, even in high school, if you move, like people are kind of like, who's this new person? Like they're taking my
Especially
minutes.
girls.
Like I didn't want to say it. It's different if you say it. It's
Especially
different if you say it, and it's
girls.
different if I say it. If I say that, I might get canceled from my 10 subscribers. So where you like, you can say it. So
Yeah,
I didn't say it,
girls-
y'all.
Girls are very petty and competitive and all that stuff.
Very, yes.
But I
We'll leave it
also,
there.
my situation was great, and why I chose to go there is because their starting point guard, who was super great, she just graduated, so they needed a point guard. So it was a perfect transition.
People don't realize the stress that a collegiate player has to go through as far as academics, being social, going through their normal life, and then their family life, and then also being the greatest player possible, especially like NIL now. Now it's like, you're getting paid. It's like people have a lot to say about you or what you aren't doing or what you are doing. And so it's like, what advice would you say as far as the mental side of it to young, inspiring hoopers?
Yeah. I think like people who want to play college and even after college, you just have to really like remember you have to sacrifice a lot, like you sacrifice a social life, you even sacrifice like a dating life, you sacrifice spending time with family and being able to go on for holidays, and so you sign up for a lot more than I think people anticipate when they go into it. And then it's also the mental game of like your confidence, because I feel like you deal with different types of coaches who either allow you to play what they recruited you for or they don't, and so you're like trying to battle like, okay, who am I as a player, who am I off the court, and so it's such a vulnerable transition period. So I think my advice would just be to like work hard, obviously, and go into it with the expectation of having no expectations. And then just
You kind of have to redefine success a lot of times, like all the time. And it's such a different experience. And so super cool that like you're able to not only experience that, but like do it at a high level in all things so far at this point. right? At this point of your life, you're, killed it in high school, killed it in collegiate sports. Like as far as making it to a team, playing, like that's big time too. You not only made the team, you started every game. Then you transfer, you still make an impact. Okay, then you get into the kind of the pro world, which is crazy. The pro world is definitely interesting.
Yeah.
So how is that like? Because like,
It's so different
I mean,
for everyone. Like,
yeah, because you're in Australia.
mhm.
I mean, Australia is beautiful.
Yeah, I love
I've heard Australia is beautiful. I've only seen pictures on
it.
Google, but
Gorgeous. I'm going back in November, so I'm excited.
fine.
But I think for me, like, when I finished my 5th year in Colorado, I was just like, I'm done. Like, I'm kind of, what's next? Yeah, you get you get burnt out. Yeah, because you spend so much time and energy just training, and you know how it goes. So I was like burnt out, and I decided to kind of take a year off and just finish school and go from there. But then it was just like, man, I don't want to live with the regret of not going and pursuing playing overseas, because it was something I said from when I started playing basketball I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I always joked with my parents, and I was like, if I get the opportunity to like go to Australia, I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
So I like take almost a full year off.
Oh, hooping.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like not doing anything. And I get a call from one of my coaches from Westminster the other day, like one day when I was at work, and she was like, Mariah, like, you need to go play. And I was just like, well, yeah, I mean, maybe we'll see. Yeah. Like, why are you calling me?
Yeah, you're like, dude, it's a random Tuesday. Like, why you calling me and
It
tell me
seriously probably was a Tuesday. I don't even know.
You're like, why are you calling me on this Tuesday out of the blue,
Yeah. But so she calls, and then she's talking to me. One of her good friends is a big time agent, and so she was like, I was just talking with him, and I was talking about you, and like, can you please just talk with him and see what he has to offer and go from there. Yeah. And I was like, sure, yeah, like I'll entertain it, see what he has to say.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. So then he calls me, and we're just talking, and it's like a salesperson. They're selling you on all the
hate
good
those
things.
guys and guys, salespeople, terrible people. By the way.
But yeah, so he's just telling me all of it, and I was like, if you can get me a really good contract in Australia, then I would probably do it. Yeah. But I was like, Europe eventually maybe, but I want something a little more short term. I want like a summer league.
Yeah, just kind of in and out, get your feet in there, and
before I do Europe, which is like a full year, commitment. So, he calls me like 3 days in a row, and finally I was like, if you give me something in Australia and it makes sense, I will take it. Right. Literally a week later, gets me this really great deal. And I'm just sitting there like,
you're like, crap, I committed to this.
I committed to this. I got to do it. And so, it was one of those things. I was like, okay, I'm doing it. But I was like, I haven't been training. I'm not prepared. I'm like getting stressed. Right. But I was like, I have this great opportunity. So anyways, I like quit my job in Colorado, figure out how to do the rest of my schooling online, call my parents. I'm like, hey, I'm moving to Australia in like 2 weeks, just so you guys know.
You want to call for them.
Yeah. So then I get my butt back in the gym, and yeah.
And then you're hooping in Australia. What was that like as far as like living out? Was it cool? Like, I mean, food was solid. People were cool. Like.
Yeah, it was a great experience because it's like you're a celebrity in a sense. Right. I mean, you're like a
pro I've never experienced that, so it must be nice. It must be nice. I haven't experienced that. I walk into the dealership and I think I'm a celebrity, but they're all like, oh, there's Ben again. There's Ben again. So you go over to Australia and they're kind of like, oh, like this is the kind of a big deal for them as far as like you're hooping for them. Because and they're pretty like fan base wise, like the people like show out over there.
Oh yeah, they're very sport oriented. So we had like really good crowds at every one of our.
How is that as far as, because you wanted short term, so you were like, hey, I'm not fully committed, but I'm not like as far as like a year contract, you weren't like, hey, I want to be there and long term, but you were like willing to go there. Did that change while you were out there as far as wanting to stay longer, or how was that like?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like a different mental game out there because you're completely out of your comfort zone, right?
Super isolated, probably.
You're very isolated. Like, I'm on a freaking American phone plan still, so I'm on airplane mode everywhere I go. But honestly, it was like the best thing because you really like get to know yourself better. Right. So you go through those battles of like, why did I want to sacrifice everything and put myself on an island and kind of come out here and play? But Ended up being like the best thing. And so I learned a lot. It was just, you have your struggles with basketball. You get in your head, you lose your confidence. But my teammates were always there to like pick me up. I lived with like a host family, and they treated me like their own daughter. And so that
Game changer.
was a really great thing. Yeah, I love them. I still am in contact with them.
Super cool.
Yeah, it was just a great experience, and I was there for just one season. But I knew, like, the end of the season, I was like, I'm hanging it up. Like, my body's tired, and I'm ready for, like, new. I'm ready to get out of my comfort zone without being, like, in the basketball world.
Change the scenery.
Yeah.
It's so interesting when your body, like, starts telling you things. So I was born with a cleft lip, and so, like, I've had, like, 13 surgeries. So, like, it's my pain tolerance is super high, but, like, also, like, when I go through things, I'm always like, no, like, my body's telling me this, you know? Like, unfortunately, like, I wasn't ready to retire until, like, I tore my Achilles. And so I was forced to retire. Lame excuse, because like everyone, like my wife always gives me crap. She's like that doesn't have to define you. You can still hoop. And I'm like, nah, I'm done. Like I'm washed. And like I like took it as a cop out. So, but it's kind of funny though. Your body starts like, and I wasn't even, I mean, obviously you're young too. Like I'm
We're
not,
old.
I'm not. All right, we're old. I guess we are old. You passed the threshold of college. You are old, just so you know. But you know what I mean? Like it's like, well, I do have an old woman's Achilles in me. So I do have a donor's Achilles. But I tell you what, I don't know who she was. Shout out her though,
Yeah.
But like she was a nasty pickleball player because like I got good at pickleball ever since I got my Achilles torn. Like
See, you find new hobbies.
you really do though, isn't it so interesting? So okay, so you go, you're playing, you're like, I'm done. The jersey's being retired. It's go time to figure it out. What led you to now being a business owner as far as like what made you choose Pilates? What made you choose,
Yeah.
I have my guesses as far as like what kind of staying relatively into sports and your body and things like that, but what was it like? Was it like a distinct like, hey, I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna own a Pilates stop, or were you like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna do something?
Yeah, so when I moved home from Australia, I was like, what am I gonna do with my life now? Like my agent, I had a couple really good deals to go to Europe, and it's enticing because you got the travel bug, right? Like I still want to go see the world and travel, and right, but I was like, oh, I can't dedicate 10 months to like the grind, and so I was like, said no to playing. I was kind of done, and then I had like all my certifications as far as like a registered nutritionist and a personal trainer, and I had my degree and my background in science. So I just kind of was like, I'm going to just try this route for a little bit. And I ended up working at like 6 different gyms, and I was like slaving my life away. And I was like, okay, this is just not making ends meet, and have no life outside of work. And so one of my good friends at one of the gyms I was working at, she was like front desk at a Pilates studio. And she gave me like a 7 free class pass thing to her studio.
Always fire to know people.
Yeah.
Get a free class.
Right.
Sick.
So I was like always wanted to get into Pilates, but it's really expensive.
Right.
And so,
So that's why I don't do Pilates.
Yeah.
I'm not bougie enough to go to Pilates.
It is a bougie hobby.
I'm gonna start next week, by the way.
Yes, you are. So yeah, so I went and I was like, lovely, I'm hooked. 7 classes later, I was like, I have to have this in my life. Yeah. So one of my good friends, he's a big time entrepreneur, like has his own company and is involved in a couple others. And so we're talking, and he's like, I'm expressing like I need something new, career, like I need whatever. And he's like, Mariah, why don't you open a studio? Why don't you do some research and see? And so he really like inspired me and believed in me and just was like, you can do this. And I'm like, I don't know how to run a business. Like, are you serious? Yeah. So then anyways, it's just like you get raised capital, you get all the things, and then we found a place, and boom, I'm opening a Pilates studio. So it was super quick.
Like, think about that though. Like, it goes to show again, like this whole episode has been just so like being around people that believe in you and want you to succeed, right? Like he's like, he could easily be like, oh, that's a cool idea, Mariah, like I hope it works out, like that's cool. He's like, no, like you can do it, like you freaking got this, like let's go make this happen. And like you're freaking doing it. Like how cool is that to like look back and be like, wow, like regardless of all the struggles, regardless of all the ups and downs of business, like it like it always is, but it's like you're doing it. Like
Yeah.
so many people stay out of the game, and the game can be whatever the game is to you, whether it's work, because they're too scared to sub themselves in.
Yeah,
You
one
know what I
thing,
mean?
yeah, totally. One thing that has kind of been like my foundation or whatever you want to call it is he always, and still to this day, tells me pressure makes diamonds. And so for me, that's really been applicable in my life because being an athlete, you're always under pressure. You're always trying to perform, and so there's pressure in that area. And then as with business, it's like there's pressure to make money, to grow this thing, to get good employees, to be a great leader, to learn finances and marketing and social media. Like there's so much that goes into it that people don't see and realize. And so there's always pressure, and you need two people to be in your corner and believe in you. And if you believe in yourself, like you're going to get it done. It's just all about working hard. 100%. Same thing as like being an athlete.
100%. And I think like you just hit it perfectly as far as like how it is to be like successful. And it's being willing to just work hard. Like you can't, I might not know every single thing about business. I might not know how to do the books. I might not know how to do, social media, branding, whatever it might be. But if you know how to work hard and like give it 100% effort and like you learn and you adapt, I always tell the guys that I coach, I'm like, you can control your attitude and your effort. Those are two things you can control always. Like it doesn't matter where you're at, no matter when you're at, you can control those two things and always dictate the outcome of those two. And if you can control the controllables, how do you get stopped? And so talk about the Pilates. Let's get some people signed up. So if you guys love Pilates, make sure to hit Mariah up for Pilates. What's the name? Where's it at?
Yeah, so Studio Sculpt Pilates. We're just in Lehigh. The reputation I kind of wanted to uphold is like the best studio here in Utah. Okay. We have like the only type of reformers. So the reformers, if you're not familiar, is the equipment that you work on when you come do a class. Okay. So
you one of the instructors there, or do you?
I'm getting certified. Oh, fine. So eventually we'll be able to teach. Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Thanks.
Not only you own it, but you're doing it. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, apply yourself.
Have to.
Yeah. So we're in Lehigh. I got those reformers because I met a lady who has her very own successful Pilates studios in like East Coast. She's in New York. Yeah. She's been great. So got those reformers. We have great instructors. Like we're a high-end studio but very welcoming. Like everyone's welcome.
I'm welcome. I'm perfect. Well, what we're gonna do. So I partnered up with Dunked Cookies in Saratoga Springs. They're incredible humans. Literally love them so much. I'm going to bring you a box of cookies next week because we did an early shoot today on set. So we're going to figure out a time. We're going to come check out the studio. We're going to bring you cookies. I'm not committing to doing any Pilates, but I will bring cookies and deliver it and check out this dope setup. Also, guys, she also brought me some merch, which is fire. So make sure to tap in. Are these sellable or are these exclusive?
Sellable.
Oh, dang. It's exclusive for me, but you can also get one. This one's like made one of one, but you can also try to match me on website or just Instagram. Where do you get these?
Website, Instagram. Come to our studio, grab it.
And then also we teamed up with a hat company, and it's Lodge 33 over in Saratoga Springs. Well, he's kind of all over. He can be everywhere. But we got a couple of their hats here on set. We got some suede ones. We got a camo one. Let's have you try on one, and we'll have you get a custom piece from him next week. Okay. Which one you want?
Let's do the camo one.
The camo one. Yeah. All right. That's it. That's a fan favorite, y'all. And they're on his website, Lodge 33, Saratoga Springs. Code Connected. You get 20% off. Well, Mariah, that's super awesome to hear of all the success that you're doing and all the great things that you're doing. And not only are you doing it, but you're doing it here locally in Utah, which is awesome. So make sure everyone to tap in to Pilates. And if you're not interested in Pilates, that's okay. You can learn how to be a successful business person from Mariah, which is cool. But I guess to end, how would you say you've been connected as far as like, how do connections matter to you and like, why are they so important?
I think another thing that's really kind of what I've been like living by this last year is like this life's not about you. And so I have really kind of taken it as far as like, how can I serve others? How can I use Pilates and my knowledge to help other entrepreneurs or other friends with, things that they're going through. And so just always like being willing to serve and help others has led to lots of connections with other people, but also more people willing to like lend a hand to me when is needed. And so I think if you're just willing to help out and be flexible and are just kind, I think that's gonna lead you down a great path to meet the right people that you need in that time of your life.
100%. And I think like, I mean, you said it perfectly again, but with kindness, like it's so crazy what kindness can do. Like just being kind to people and what connections. Like, I mean, you look at like the girl in New York. She's like successful. She's doing her own business. She doesn't need to help you. But like, how cool is it? Like a person that's not only doing it, but like she wants you to be successful. And I think that's kind of the whole point of this like podcast, is be able to see all these different people and see how their connections have helped them get to where they're at. And also like realize a lot of us are trying to help other people. Like at the end of the day, we're not just trying to be like, hey, like I only want to win. Like I want you to win just as much as I want to win. And I want to win a lot. Like I want to win. Everything I do, anything I do, I want to win. Like it's an obsession. And it's what drives me and what motivates me to be great. And I think you 100% have that and more. And so keep killing it. Appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much. It's fun to chop it up and catch up, because I'm telling you guys, like, look up Mariah. She was a hooper. Like, she was cold. And so, hey, you don't have to look. Hey, you either look her up to sign up for Pilates or check
Just
out her
look
social
her up,
media, and make sure to show her love in the comments. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow. Make sure to tap into her social platforms as well. But thank you so much.
Thank you.